Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
DOE finds themselves in a tight budget situation. In the next 8 months, federal income tax changes could mean a $19.6 million budget reduction that will add up to $27.1 million shortfall for fiscal year 2019. In efforts to find options, an email was sent out Thursday morning urging stakeholders to send their ideas on how DOE can either reduce their budget or generate revenue. Superintendent John Fernandez says in the worst case scenario, schools might close.
We've seen some declines in enrollment. We have some low enrollment schools in the South. There has been some board discussion in the last, public discussion at the last meeting about potentially looking at closures of schools, especially those that have lower enrollment, either closure or consolidation of schools.
But he doesn't want it to come to this. The superintendent proposing a hiring freeze in the central office and schools that could save up to $5 million.
The most conservative approach is to maintain the policy that we already have in place around the central office hiring freeze. That's already something that's in place. So that's a decision that I don't think will be very difficult. These are positions that are already frozen. Nobody's in them. There's no, so those are, if those continue, those will continue to contribute to the savings of the department.
But even if this works, there's still $14 million to make up for. Other options, he says, include reducing utility consumption, like textbooks, and DOE contracts up for renewal or procurement, like custodial services and food vendors. Additionally, projects in progress, like Simon Sanchez, are still up in the air, but pre-K expansion might be put on pause.
The disappointing part is we've fought very hard to try to ensure that we can gradually expand pre-kindergarten. On the spectrum of what's easy and what's difficult, it'll be an easier cut to implement because it's basically money that hasn't been spent yet and hasn't been committed.
In the works, generating some extra cash. The superintendent says DOE is considering a potential lease of the GDOE PD property for industrial use, and he's urging legislators to think seriously about raising the business privilege tax over the next 5 years.
I was serious when I suggested that we look at the possible increase to the business privilege tax. I mean, it can be as modest as a 0.25% raise, or I had proposed 1% in my state of education to support school facilities and other needs.
As of Thursday, DOE still plans to ask for $320 million, budget cuts not included, with the superintendent making clear that nothing is final on what will ultimately be cut. But the longer they wait to make a choice, the deeper the cuts will be. Reporting for Guam News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.